Good evening, everybody.
I just found the keys to a city. The beats are big and the lights are pretty. So why can't we go to the busy where the dreams are in the sky?
Hello and good evening. Welcome to Lost Mannerisms. I just wanted to make sure he was real and not just an apparition. But since I'm wearing the wide brim anyway.
Was that a Halloween joke?
No, not really.
Because by the time this comes out, Halloween will have been long past.
Yeah, it was more about something we're going to talk about and the fact that you haven't been around lately. So, I'm Forrest.
And I'm Al.
And today,
We have a guest.
we have a guest.
You kind of spit in my eye, but not a big deal.
In our third chair, we actually have someone playing the role of third chair.
Yes.
And not just appearing in Alfred's absence.
My name is Anthony. Good friends of both these guys for a long time.
So, that's it. We got a diverse cast. We can do stuff that requires 3 people to do correctly, like...
I can think of a few things.
Well, that rolls into the news, you know, to talk about the Devil's Triangle.
Devil's Triangle.
But we'll hold that thought for a second. Alfred, you brought us a nice, fine rye whiskey
I did.
to drink with our...
Cigars are nice,
Cigars.
fine cigars. Yeah, so the drink of the week, we're not drinking a cocktail today. We're just drinking straight rye whiskey on ice. This is a Woodford Reserve. It's good. It's
There's a lot
whiskey.
of dust in this cup.
I'm sorry.
Good thing you wore a duster. Dad jokes.
Yeah, rye whiskey's whiskey. It's made with rye. Tastes like whiskey.
Rye whiskey is usually a lot sharper than this. This is quite enjoyable.
Yeah, it's nice and smooth. It's usually got a peppery taste.
Yeah.
Kind of a sharp peppery taste. This is pretty good though. Woodford Reserve is like a good standby if you're ever looking for a bottle of bourbon or rye or something to give as a gift or to keep out on the table or something.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's so good just because of this Mug Club mug. They say it enhances beverage flavor.
Well, mine's pretty good. So.
Well,
Mine's gone.
I just like to once in a while give a shout out to, and I don't think they even know who we are yet, but I like to give a little shout out to Crowder because he kind of gave me the motivation to do this thing.
I thought I was your muse.
Well, only on Tuesdays.
What happens on Tuesdays?
Wouldn't you like to know? Anyway,
that
Into the
swings
news.
right easily into the Devil's Triangle. And I'm going to take this duster off because it's kind of warm in here. But speaking of Devil's Triangles, since we like to touch on our news a little bit more, we like to give the full story when we cover something. Our episode on I Still Like Beer, Brett Kavanaugh has been completely cleared as innocent by the Senate Judiciary Committee.
I have no comment on that.
That's really about it. You could like him, you could not like him. So basically, they've said that all of the sexual assault allegations. Got to get that thing out of my mouth again. All that they were all made up.
Made up, or at the very least, impossible to verify.
Just to put my 2 cents in, because it was so long ago, something might have happened, but there's no way to tell.
I think that's pretty much where
It's
where we are
either
with
or.
this.
It's all either a complete guess because any of the 40 people interviewed for it, nobody could provide any corroborating evidence. So, moving on. On our script it says SpaceX does stuff. And this is typically why I don't let Alfred write the script, but what did SpaceX do, Mr. Alfred?
Their thing got past Mars. I don't actually know. I don't keep up too much on SpaceX.
You
I
don't
think
like-
Elon Musk is kind of a hack.
Well, that's a whole different thing. And I've probably been sitting out a shot here and there, but That's a whole different thing we could talk about because of all the government assistance that went towards making the Tesla Roadsters that are now just being launched into space to go past Mars. That's kind of it. You had something on a bendy phone?
Yeah, so if anyone remembers a while back, Samsung made the pretty bold claim that it was going to be the first company to bring bendable technology to the market.
Yeah.
So that means we'll get eventually screens, phone screens and stuff that you can bend and fold and they won't shatter. If you were to try and bend your phone, for instance, it would break in half.
Somebody who was here for the last shooting, the last video shooting, was actually got a phone and could not get it to work and got so pissed off he bent it.
Well,
And it didn't shatter though.
Well, now you'll be able to do that, and it'll keep working. Because the company, a startup company, has brought or unveiled, I think within the last week or so, some bendable tech. It's pretty cool. It's a phone, about a tablet-sized phone,
Yeah.
that bends in half. And that's it. That's all it
In
does.
between the cameras.
It bends in half.
But since you've been so quiet over there,
Yes.
what
Give us your input. What do you think about SpaceX? What do you think about
we can let's say he knows a bit more about the same nightmare.
Oh, the nightmare thing.
Nightmare. I haven't had it personally, but
I haven't either.
so
A little
back in
mad.
the day, in like the 1960s and 70s, apparently everybody was seeing an apparition of a man in their dreams.
Well, this was recent too.
But now it's become prevalent again. So you can take that over and tell us a little bit about it.
Same man?
Not the same man, just
It's
this guy has a
supposedly
hat.
the same man. It's
Well,
a
he
guy.
has a hat,
It's a
though.
featureless. It's a tall, featureless shadow with a wide-brimmed hat, and it doesn't say anything. The people just.
Is it
You know,
you? If I had dreams about you, I'd count them as nightmares.
But no, it's not me. It's supposedly it's just we're discovering it's just sleep paralysis, and there are people with heart conditions who are more suspect to dying in their sleep, and when they experience the fear of sleep paralysis, they die because there were some odd 1,000 people in the South Pacific who were just dying in their sleep.
That's pretty scary.
Like healthy 20 to 30-year-old people, men, just dying in their sleep. You guys don't have a whole lot here today,
I
do
mean,
you?
well, I'm just wondering, how do they know that
It's the same person.
it's the same person if these people die? You can't wake up dead.
Well, because the people who are living through it. Everyone living is experiencing similar dreams. And now we can attribute it to sleep paralysis, which...
I'm a little confused.
Have you ever had
Just-
sleep paralysis?
Yeah.
No, but I've heard stories about
I've
it.
never had it myself. Along
I
with this
have.
dream, I've never had.
I've had that experience of kind of waking up and not being able to move and then
I
realizing you're
remember that
still
story.
kind of
Yeah.
asleep.
And you're just
but like
in fear at first, right?
I think
Or
it's
you
more of
usually-
a shock.
it's a shock, and then usually I don't know. I've never had a big problem with it. I guess it doesn't happen to me regularly. And after probably the first time it happened, I kind of realized I was like, oh, it's just that, and it takes me a minute to wake up.
Well, it's supposed to be the people who never experience who get this shock and disbelief and
Has there been like a characterization of the figure, or is it just a man in a hat?
featureless. A tall man in a hat.
So like no face or nothing?
no face, no nothing.
Okay, because going back to like the 60s and 70s, I'm sure it's happened in the 80s and 90s as well. The man that people were seeing was like a very round face with really bushy eyebrows, and everybody saw that guy. So they
Okay.
have no clue, like, how is everybody seeing this guy? Like, yes, it's a very familiar face to people. Sometimes it's comforting, sometimes it's scary. But with this guy has no face. That's like some raw stuff.
I think that because when this story came out, it was about the time that they were running a bunch of advertisements for Red Dead 2. Yeah, this story came out like midway through last week. So there were all sorts of advertisements on the streaming sites, on regular TV. It's one of the few video games I've seen real advertisements for.
How did that was
Yeah, that was a weird.
Because it's a Western
sleep paralysis. No, I
because-
understand that you're
No.
finally getting around to explaining.
No.
why you're
I'm
dressed
not
like
talking
this.
about this yet. But that's what I'm attributing the wide brimmed hat figure meeting these people is because they're seeing this image And so when they're asleep, they're
Just because of Red Dead?
well, they played a lot of advertisements,
I guess.
To be honest with you, I've only seen like a couple.
which is still more than most people see for most video games.
That's kind of true.
So now that we've gotten through this very one-sided news, we're going to show and tell all of you how to light
Well, how we lit these.
how we lit these
pretty
wonderful
boring.
cigars. It is pretty boring.
There was fire involved, though. I almost lit myself on fire.
Speaking of fire,
It's pretty fun.
He's been playing with fire the whole time, but I don't know if he's outside of the shot.
I don't think so. I mean, you told me that stuff over here you could see,
I did.
so I should be in the shot.
But we'll see you in our segment. Our segment, because we finally have 3 people on set, since Alfred decided to show up for once, we decided that we were going to get into the fancy ways of lighting cigars
And cutting them.
and cutting them. We're going to go over a quick, brief how to smoke a cigar. We don't really care about the brand, that all personal preference and whatnot.
There are some things to avoid. Swisher sweets.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
stay
we're
away
not
from the black and milds of the world.
we're not talking
Has
about
to be a wood tip though. That's all I can say.
we're not talking about the cigars you get at a drugstore. We're talking about nice premium hand rolled cigars. Some people dunk them in their beverages. A big thing you want to do is you want to slobber the hell out of it right away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Well, you know, if it's dry, yeah.
You want to
If
get
it's
it.
not dry, you don't have to.
Plus, you want to know. Well, you want to look like you know what you're doing too. So like, rolling it around in your mouth makes you look professional too.
Well, it makes it cut better is a big thing.
Well,
So you
that's
don't get a big jagged dry leaf cut. You get a nice cut. Now, lately I've been liking a V-notch cutter. And with a V-notch cutter, it cuts a V-notch in the cigar. You look surprised.
No, I'm not surprised. I'm lamenting the missed jokes. We're spending a lot of time talking about sucking on the ends. and-
So basically, you line the cigar up in the center you with your fancy V-notch cutter. I have a cheap one, but you put it on there and you close it on it, and it cuts a little notch in the cigar. Sometimes I've found with a bigger cigar, you have to take more than one swing at it at a slightly different angle, so you get a complete notch.
Yeah, I actually do like the V-cuts. They're kind of nice. I was
What-
a big fan of the guillotine cutter. That
Oh, yeah.
But they don't work for those.
What, a guillotine or a V?
Yeah, V-cut won't work for a cigar like this.
His cigar is real pointed at the base, and it does not work on those.
Yeah, so you probably want a guillotine.
Yeah.
This is a nice little
Yeah,
gift. Believe it or
standard.
not, has Don't Tread on Me on it.
Nice.
Pretty cool set. So yeah, with the guillotine, all you gotta do is, a lot of people, good rule of thumb is putting it on the table and then cutting it there, but that's usually with a fat nub like that. So, in my honest opinion, it's like a gamble on like, do you want a lot of stuff in your mouth? Do you want...
I always
Well-
like a lot of stuff in
Well, no matter what kind of cut you're gonna have little particles in your mouth, so you just spit those out, no big deal. But
Spitters are quitters.
sometimes. But yeah, 1, 2, 3, you just cut it and you're good to go. Oh,
that.
do you need that?
I do.
And if you're ever truly in a bind, you can use a pocket knife to cut a
Yeah.
V-notch in it, which Alfred's been liking lately. You
Yeah,
can-
it's a good way to save yourself in a pinch.
I've found that if you just cut a ring around it with like a box cutter, you wind up okay. And now we get to the easy part. Or the hard part, the lighting. So there's 3 big ways to do it. You never, ever want to use a Zippo.
You can. Just tastes gross.
Only if you're a Hellboy, though.
I am going to be over here and using a fancy torch lighter,
I
even
will be
though
doing the same.
he brought his "Don't Tread on Me" one.
Another one.
And you can use matches or whatever. The big thing with the lighters, with the torch lighters, is you kind of want to heat it up a little bit without putting it in the flame. And if you're at a really nice establishment and there's a really cute chick who's lighting the cigars for you, you really want her to heat it up. But you get to a point where you just have it warm and you put it on the flame and make sure the whole thing gets red evenly.
So apparently with Cuban cigars, you're supposed to definitely burn it first, and then once it gets a nice even burn, that's when you start puffing.
Yeah, but thanks to somebody getting shot, we don't really do much trade with Cuba anymore.
Well, isn't that embargo done now?
No,
Is
he
it?
lifted the embargo.
Did he?
Yeah, it was until he got shot, and then it went bad again.
You're right over there. We need the fire department.
No, but I'm.
We now know how to put
You
out.
might, yeah.
We do know how to extinguish fires now, so we are safe if you pay attention to our videos.
How's that? Is that different?
No, it's exactly the same.
No,
Looks
no
cool, though.
different. Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of a pain to light a cigar with anything but a torch lighter, but
I
like,
agree. Matches are okay. But cedar burns nice. I don't know what the appeal is. You get that nice cedary, smoky smell.
aroma, yeah. But you know, it's just like with the Scotch, like I said. There's a couple different ways that are acceptable to do it, and a couple ways that aren't acceptable to do it, but it really comes down to whatever the hell you want to do because we're men.
Are there any unacceptable ways to light a cigar?
With an intern in the Oval Office.
That's a Bill Clinton joke, isn't it?
It is. It is a big.
So, since we're sitting around, and I don't know if you can tell, but most of us aren't really staring at the camera as much as we should be. We have really changed our lighting around here. And it's for the better and for the worse.
I'm Star Wars sunglasses.
It's not that bad.
I'll have to whip out the Pit Vipers.
That's not the only thing we'll be whipping out.
Oh, jeez. PG-13, man.
There's nothing wrong
It's
with
an
that.
innuendo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't be whipping shit out here.
You just cursed. How is that?
You can say shit in PG-13.
Yeah.
You can. And there's one F word allowed too.
I think it might be 2. I don't know. I should look that up.
I don't know. Since nobody's subscribing to our shit, we aren't gonna have. Who cares? YouTube isn't even gonna think about censoring us. So, for anyone watching this, please subscribe. Please, please. We need money. We need to buy nice things like cigars and studio lights that don't blind us. That we have to,
And a better barn.
and a better. Well,
Well, we'll get there eventually.
we're not getting a better barn for a while. I'll tell you that.
Maybe a nicer car.
Nicer car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the one in space right now.
Yeah. Well,
I would like a Tesla Roadster.
we need a lot of subscribers for that.
That is true. I mean, we'll get there one day. Oh.
Oof, yeah.
All right.
You aren't supposed to inhale cigars, by the way,
Yeah, that's a no bueno move. No good.
because that happens.
I didn't inhale the cigar.
So, moving on, I was looking for someone to third chair in Alfred's absence, and I came up with an interesting discussion. The person wasn't able to make it, obviously, and so we were able to do cigars and talk about what this person said. Because I asked them to come up with maybe a manly segment for us to do, so we had something better than how to light cigars. Which they weren't able to help us with, but
Because really, we all know the right way to light a cigar is to let someone do it for you.
yeah,
In your posh cigar club.
yeah.
Yeah.
With those nice tabletop cigar lighters that look like the.
absolutely.
But there's a lot of places, even nice cigar clubs, that don't necessarily have cute women walking around lighting your cigars.
I don't care who lights it as long as they do it for me.
Oh, okay.
So
So,
yeah. Anyway. Go
but
ahead.
they jumped right into what manliness means to them. And I'm going to take a quick pause to make sure we're recording.
I hope we are.
I do too. Which we are.
Nice.
And I'm going to be able to cut this out if I do this right. And now that our quick pause is over,
So what does manliness mean to you?
well, I kind of agree with this person, and a big part of manliness, and it's a great cigar discussion. But
So who is this person? What is this? What is their idea of
I'm in the dark.
manliness?
I'm in the dark with this one.
I was not.
all of you are in the dark. This isn't even scripted. I wanted to surprise you.
I don't read the
Alright,
scripts to
that's
begin
fine.
with, so I'm very in the dark.
I can't even read. I can. I have
Easy-
a college degree.
easy-
It's okay. It's okay.
Easy, Don Lemon. Easy.
See, I'm not that educated.
See, you'd have to watch CNN to know what the joke
See, that's fake news, so I don't watch it. Not to be biased.
is. Jeez, we're not supposed to have a huge political lean.
I'm not having a political lean.
That's like-
I get all my news from Alex Jones and InfoWars.
They're making the freaking frogs gay!
Exclusively.
His memes are the best though.
They are.
To be that little millennial
They do.
part of it.
So, to this person, they said that the real the main part of component of manliness, it's not about the machismo, it's not about toxic masculinity, it's not about just trying to be tough. The real big component to manliness is figuring out how to find a solution to any problem on your own.
Interesting.
I also want to add to that a little bit.
Okay.
I think there's a huge aspect of respect involved as well. When respect is given, it's supposed to be earned, vice versa, all that kind of mumbo jumbo. So as a man, I feel like if you have the intelligence and education and
That's an interesting thing. Intelligence and education aren't necessarily required for manliness.
no, but
Because you figured out the solution to a problem, and you could work that into that definition. Because if you have a problem,
Well, hold on.
hang on, let me roll this thought. And if
that's why I'm letting you finish, because you didn't let me finish, not to get on the wrong side of things.
I'm the main host. What do you
I
want?
understand, but where respect is given, it's also earned.
Well,
Well, and that's what being
this
a man
is
about.
perfect because I don't like how I'm being treated here.
Well, that's
So
your
that's
fault.
the problem.
Okay.
And the solution, as figured out by my manly intuition here, would be to give you more respect. And this is just exemplifying that.
Okay.
But what if you can't do something on your own? What if you can't find a solution on your own?
Well, I feel like being a
If
man also.
if
Go ahead.
my arm gets chopped off, there's not a solution that I can deal with. I need to go to a doctor who can deal with my arm being chopped off. And
Education.
you could argue that your solution is going to other people when you can't find a solution on your own. But I think that's
I think that's a fair.
I think it's an important thing to remember that being a man also has to do with knowing your own limitations and
Yeah.
understanding that you
absolutely.
can't do
100%.
everything on your own.
But it's not. The thought is not, I've chopped my arm off. Oh, just stick it in some Woodford Reserve and rub it off.
That'd be a waste of good alcohol.
The thought is that
You're gonna get drunk either way, though.
in my life, you're still going to school. Excuse me, you were working somewhere.
Yeah, I'm working.
You learned. Did any of your work involve what you were taught, what you were directly taught in high school or college?
100% in college. Because I'm not a main person on this show, just a little background. Went to a military college for college.
Oh, you're special. I forgot.
I am very special, thank you.
Well, he went to VMI.
I did go.
Let's talk that up. Sounds
Okay,
cool.
so Virginia Military Institute, also known as VMI, great establishment. They've been through a lot. They've been established since 1839 by Stonewall Jackson.
Yeah, cool
So
fact.
very cool.
And you
fact.
went there and you learned a lot, and you do
I did.
use that in your job.
I do use that all the time. And the amount of respect that you're supposed to earn there, the drive that you are told to be directed to, I guess that's a weird way to put it. But with all those levels of the 4 years there, it builds you into a citizen soldier, even if you don't go into the military. So I take a military aspect wherever I go, and the military is based off being a gentleman and a warrior. And there's no better way to be that than being manly.
We're gonna
about
have to
it.
get you back on.
I'm very educated, believe
We
it or
need
not.
you to talk about some gentleman aspects.
I
agree.
mean, for
Command
God's sake, the whole system's built out of merit and rank, and when you had somebody that was just got in, you taught them the ropes that you learned the last 3 years, and at the end of the day, they're helping you get dressed up to, into arms, and you're just parading around and showing off what you got to do, and it makes you proud and shows others that you know what you're doing.
So you might be a special case, and that's one thing that I've always appreciated about our military teachings in our nation. But the average person doesn't necessarily gain knowledge beyond what would help them in, say, an office job at college.
I disagree with that completely. One of the big reasons you go to college is to develop your critical thinking skills. I think it's downplayed a lot,
Agreed.
I don't think it's
you have to
taught
learn-
as much anymore.
I think it is. You need to learn to think for yourself. And now you can make the argument that college, that certain professors don't do that so much, but I think in general, you go to college not necessarily to learn specific material. I mean, I did, I directly use the stuff I learned in college because I'm getting another degree in it, but even if I didn't, I learned critical thinking and I learned how to think about stuff and how to take knowledge and take information from other things and use it. So it's not so much that I learned facts and stuff, and I think we all did, because we all went to
We all went to college.
comparable
and
schools and stuff.
I would say, and this person went to college too, but I would say that I learned that more from a few good people that I found through college.
Well, there you
which
go.
I could have found them otherwise.
Maybe, but I think, again, you
But
gotta remember.
but then you look at Caterpillar, one of the largest equipment manufacturers in the world.
Okay.
The guy was self-taught out of grade school.
Yeah, but different time. I mean, we're
Different
not.
time.
I feel but that's the same old argument that when people, I think that the classic is people Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, they didn't go to college. And you
Or
don't
they
have to be
dropped out.
college. Yeah, or they dropped out. You don't have to go to college to be successful. And that's very true.
I
But
agree.
also, I think that college, for the vast majority of people, teaches critical thinking skills that you can use later in life. And honestly, pointing to Bill Gates is the richest man alive or something. And
Well, that's why I didn't point that.
but I think it's a good counterpoint to make that, you can't look at these super successful people because there's a good chance that they would have been super successful in that way regardless of, whether or not they finished a 4-year degree.
Well,
Yeah.
I almost want to take that aside and almost want to look at hometown heroes. Not only law enforcement, fire departments, all like that. They have a lot of knowledge, and
Yeah.
they did academies and stuff. But also that guy that's rolling around in a Rolls Royce. How did he get that Rolls Royce? He probably figured something out through education, or he was self-taught. It's taking pride in what you're doing.
And now that's an interesting point because that's the next thing. Self-taught is still education.
Of course,
Yeah.
Even if you're self-taught, that's the thing. It's in
Yeah.
today's world, having a college degree can get you in the door a lot of times, but there's still throughout your life you have to keep learning and keep teaching yourself.
Well,
And
you
I
never
think- I
stop
think-
learning, though.
That's a big thing. Never stop learning. I mean, I went out of college. I had an internship. I knew I wasn't going to be happy sitting around. I'm an economics major. I understand economics very well.
Rock on, brother. Economics and business with a concentration in global management.
Is that what you did?
And a minor in German. So
That's kind of cool.
yeah.
So, I
Not to
grasped-
boast. I'm just saying.
Oh, well, you're
But-
fine. You're fine.
No.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Speaking of
Speak of the devil.
firefighters and stuff,
Speaking of the man with the no face. and the top hat.
somebody's carbon monoxide alarm's going off, and they were on the phone with someone, and they gave the wrong password, so we're still gonna have. So they still want us to go out, but I have given the power to you, the viewers, and I'm here.
Well, they're not gonna know until you went or not went.
What?
Well, how are you gonna give them the power if they're gonna see this?
Because
in a
I'm
couple
still
of days?
here.
So are you gonna go or not go?
No,
Oh, well, that explains. a lot.
because I've given my power to them.
Okay.
So anyway, I rolled from the economics major, and I said, and that's kind of the same position that this kid's in, and he is still finishing his college degree, despite it being nothing that he wants to do in the future.
Well, I think, but that's a separate issue of, you know, when you're 18, you get out of high school, and you're expected to know exactly what you want to study in college, and I mean, that's almost impossible. You know,
He's
sometimes
going into the automotive field, into working on cars. He wants to
Like, as a
become
mechanic?
a fleet mechanic.
Well, if I was
I think
him,
that's a bad job to go into nowadays.
I
No.
beg to differ.
I think
So I work in the automotive business, so it's definitely on the decline. You have these giants like Carvana, Cars.com.
not
all
even that.
kind of
I'm
stuff.
talking about the move from our classic and much loved combustion engines to electric.
Well, that's what I was going to
That's
mention
why
because we're
he's
talking
going-
about Tesla. He should definitely look into the electrical field because now Tesla's going to come out with these semi trucks that are going to be self-driving one point or another. So they're going to need these technicians.
So, yes, maybe. But I think we're 40, 50 years from seeing anything where that's actually going to be
Like
functional.
self-driving.
From it, where it's going to be functional for
I think
a
it-
truck
I
to be.
No,
I
beg to
disagree.
differ.
I think
Yeah,
I think he's
100%.
right. I think the technology right now is there. It just people need to trust it, and it needs to be refined so that it's practical. I'm not saying that I think we're not going to be able to drive our own cars or stuff. I just think the technology pretty much exists today. And
You
it
were
needs to be
experiencing a
developed.
crash. You were experiencing a crash. Name that movie.
Wow, I'm usually good with movies and pop
I don't
culture.
know.
iRobot.
Ah, I was about to say
Oh,
that.
that's right, because he's got the Audi with the steering wheel
yeah.
that
That stuff
disappears.
was
Yeah.
tough. That was sweet.
So anyway, that's why he is not trying to be just your regular car mechanic.
Which is smart.
He's trying to be a fleet mechanic because there's a long list of people who still are going to. People, they're landscapers, construction companies. They aren't going to adopt the newest technology at the drop of a hat.
That's true.
Because it's $200,000 to adopt the newest
true.
technology. So, but he's taught himself with other people, with teachers, not people in school, how to move into this. Like how I am moving to get my master plumber's license, which has nothing to do with my economics degree.
But I think
Apart
you could,
from running a
again,
business.
still, that's really important, though. I think we would all probably be shocked at how incompetent some people really are in running businesses and stuff. And it's,
Yes.
and I think that going to school, and you guys do have a good basis in business, that if, you, for instance, were to open up your own business, you would be able to run it just from that background, and I think that's a
But it also
powerful
starts
thing.
from the individual that
Yeah,
has the
that's
drive
true.
and passion
That's
and
true.
knowledge to do
And
things.
That's true.
Something that I would like to talk about in the future is the role of a man as a father.
Oh, that's huge.
That is
That I can't wait for that.
you could not go to college and have some father. You could be in the Midwest where you've been ranching your whole life, and if you have the right dad, you are going to teach yourself how to excel beyond what anyone. Like, I've met burnouts in college. I'm sure we all have met complete burnouts in college.
Believe it or not, yes, I have.
I've met people who've been successful out of high school,
I have.
and I've met burnouts in high school.
But again, I think Anthony's right. It does a lot come down to the individual drive, because it's at the end of the day, you can go get a college degree. It usually benefits you, but if you have the drive to do what you want, it's not the only route. There are lots
Right.
of routes to success that are available.
So, question of the day. Before we jump into our next segment, our next piece.
Okay.
Question of the day. Do you think that a person's drive is genetic or taught by the parents? And this isn't a question for you. This is our question for a viewer to answer in the comments. Or viewer. We probably only have one.
that's
Our
accurate.
viewers to answer in the comments. So let us know and catch us on the next segment. Please subscribe. All right. So this is our manly products thing, and while we were changing segments, we could have rolled straight into this, but my video editing skills are still lacking, and actually they're getting better. I learned how to blur things out. I learned how to blur moving things out.
Like
And-
censoring?
Yeah.
So like I could
try that out.
Well, yeah, I was about to say.
You could streak across this camera and I would be able to censor you.
Nice.
So like with a sensor bar or like a sim sensor.
Ooh, which one? I kind of like the sim
I do
sensor,
like
but
the
I also
sim.
like the flopping sensor.
God bless America.
What's
on
the
that
sim
point.
sensor? The mosaic?
The
Yeah,
the
yeah,
blurry.
like the- yeah.
I can do the mosaic. I could probably figure out the
sensor bar?
the wagging sensor bar, because you got to get a sensor bar that's flexible too, so it really
Bend in it.
doesn't
You
censor.
could get that cell phone that bends. That could be a good
Perfect.
sensor.
That's gonna revolutionize dick pics.
So
Let's be real.
there's some.
I think so.
I think so.
Like if it's the guy's name's Dick.
I'm talking about Richard.
Yeah, we're
Okay, there
talking
we go.
about
Yeah,
taking
there's-
pictures of Richard,
Yeah.
who,
Great looking
like
man.
Carlos, who's someone who says they'd show up on the show and never actually showed up. But we'll give Carlos props because he showed up in your absence one day.
Oh, there you go. See,
And you didn't watch it.
I haven't watched any of it. I'm doing work at school. I'm learning things.
Yeah, and I'm working 50
I'm a
hours a week
scientist.
and doing
50
class,
hours.
doing
Wow.
science.
Yeah.
at least.
Yeah.
And doing
Okay.
this, and doing this, and doing my class.
And playing Red Dead Redemption
And,
2.
Oh, no! You jumped too early!
Jump too early.
You tried to do the Monty Python because I wanted to talk about the thing we were talking about in the break.
What thing are we talking about?
So I want to get someone has a very well-spoken opinion on fatherhood. And his name, you'd be on too. When we get to talk about the importance of being a father,
I'm not a father, by the way.
I'd like to talk to.
Well,
Well, I'd like to talk to Andrew Clavin, who wrote this movie recently, and he's a
I don't
mystery.
think Andrew Clavin wants to talk to you, though.
We're gonna try. All us and our 10 subscribers. Well, I think we're up to almost 30 now.
Nathan Fillion didn't want to talk to us.
Nathan Fillion. Okay, on a sidetrack, Big Mouths is probably the best show on
Hilarious.
Netflix right now.
Yeah, hilarious.
Have you seen it?
I haven't watched it.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he makes some like cameo. I guess you call it a cameo.
I was a big fan of Firefly.
Yeah, so I love Firefly.
Huge fan of Firefly. Huge fan of Firefly.
Never seen it.
It's good.
You should
Good.
watch it.
It's like Space Cowboys.
Oh, that's kinda
with
cool.
So
zombies.
Oh, look at that.
It fit. Well, I don't have my hat in grabbable range, so it fits into everything we've been doing. So I'm just gonna whip out a gun.
That's what she said.
Anyway,
I don't know what you're doing in bed. but-
Anyway.
Don't worry about it.
he wrote this movie that's now in theaters. It's kind of an indie film, but Dean Cain, who played Superman, is in it. It's about abortion. It's about
like, how about
No,
abortion?
it's a-
Like coat hangers
It's-
or like clinical?
clinical. It's
Okay.
about
like someone who gets an abortion.
No, it's about someone who is performing abortions.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is
It
So
was
what's
about-
the movie about?
It's about, I forget the doctor's name, the first name, but it's Dr. Something Gosnell, who was a doctor at an abortion clinic in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And I think there were something like multiple women who died,
Oh,
and no police reports were ever filed.
interesting.
There was very unscrupulous practices happening. He was selling drugs on the side. He was
So not a good doctor.
he was performing abortions after kids were born.
Oh.
He drugged a woman who came in and said, "Wait, I don't want an abortion." And he drugged her and tried to give her an abortion. And I don't want to get too much further, but the one thing that I heard from an interview that was done was Dean Cain comes on the set and is like, "Isn't this a little graphic?" And they said, "Do you want to see the pictures of the actual doctor's office?" And they show him the pictures, and there's like fetuses and milk jugs and
Jeez.
Ziploc containers in the fridge and laying around the
Wow.
office. Yeah. So that's a great way to jump into things.
Ooh.
So,
All right. On that note,
but this guy,
I was hungry before this. But now,
this guy
now I
was.
think I have to go to church.
It's supposedly
Well, there's pews behind us, so.
yeah. It's supposedly a really good movie, though,
Interesting.
and he
It
did a
sounds
good
like
job
it,
with
yeah.
it. But the guy who writes it has a great opinion and a great presentation of what he thinks on fatherhood, and I'd like to get him on our show to talk to us.
Great. Now let's get into the reason why you're dressed like a buffoon.
I wouldn't quite say a buffoon. I mean, vests are in. Vests are always in.
The Han Solo look.
Han Solo look.
Oh wow! I
that-
feel like an asshole for saying that now.
What?
I feel like an uncultured swine.
Han Solo?
Yeah.
Does it
And I'm a
Not
big
that big.
and I'm a Star Wars guy too. I can't believe I said that.
So
there-
anyway, Red Dead Redemption 2 came out,
Okay.
and it's an
Wonderful.
awesome game.
Is it?
It
I haven't
has-
played it yet. I like the first one. I sunk a lot of hours into the first one. I'm not gonna
Well,
lie.
here's a good question. Was Red Dead Redemption on the Xbox 360
Oh,
the
get
first
out
one?
of here with Red Dead Revolver.
Apparently that's the first original
It
one now.
is. It
It
is
is.
though. It
It
is.
is.
Red Dead Revolver.
But nobody knows it.
No,
'Cause it
nobody.
sucked.
Nobody.
It wasn't a good
'Cause it-
game. It wasn't a good game.
Red Dead
Let's be
Redemption
real.
was unbelievable.
I liked Red Dead Redemption. You know what? I've heard, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I've heard that Red Dead 2 now is a lot like the first game, and it doesn't hold up great in the past 10 or so years or whatever. Well, no, not 10 years. Whatever, 6 years, 7 years
I
since
believe
the
7
first
or
one
8.
came out.
7 or 8.
I don't remember the first one very much.
Wow. Really?
I don't dedicate a lot of memory to
I
video
do. I
games.
remember. I liked it a lot. I think it's
The
a really good game.
graphics are amazing.
On a side note, the graphics, IGN actually did a whole news article, or what type of article, about the physics of the genitalia of horses. Did you know that?
No.
Do they have horse genitalia? in
Yeah,
Red Dead
and
2?
and they
Now
shrink
that's
and
attention to
largen.
detail. They do.
And,
I do.
You know, the guy-
Leave it
I
to
know
Rockstar
something
to
about
worry
yeah,
about.
and then like if you
horse
eat too
cocks.
much, yeah, and then when the player eats too much, the person gets a little bit bulky. If you're in the wild too long, your beard gets longer. I mean, it's phenomenal.
It's. I would say it's way better than the first one. I've been playing it since it came out, a couple hours a night, and I have not even gotten to 15% of the story because you get sidetracked so easy. There's fishing, there's poker games.
I
There's,
enjoyed it. And honestly, what you're describing is kind of what I've heard about it. That the environment is amazing and the world is what you kind of get lost in.
yeah, it's really the first video game I've ever played that's made me want to go spend time outside. And not like, oh my god, I hate this game, throws the controller and the disc at the wall, runs outside. No, it's just being in the West and looking at how they portray these mountains
interesting.
and these sprawling hills.
I might have to give it a look at some point. But I've been looking for something's different in video games. I feel like I've spent so much time with some of the bigger titles that like.
name some just
Yeah.
so I can.
You know, like
Yeah, but
Red
how
Dead
mu-
Redemption, Call
how-
of Duty. I feel like is the obvious choice for an overplayed title. You know, they come out every year. Like, and I
Every
liked,
November.
I
Now-
liked I liked Call of Duty World War II. I thought it was fun, but I thought it was more of the same. You know,
I give thumbs down on World War II.
well,
I give
that's
thumbs
what's
down.
The
up.
last two Call of Duties that were the best was Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare and Call of
Absolutely.
Duty World at War. Those are the two
Absolutely,
best titles that
but
ever
that's
came
what
out.
I'm saying. Thank you. We're going back 10 years now.
Those
and
were the best
ones that I think.
And
are
then
the
Red Dead
best.
Redemption was right in that realm as well.
That was a
haven't
good time
played-
for games.
I haven't played the new Black Ops, but I hear they did a lot.
I
with
liked
it.
Black Ops 3 actually.
I haven't played
I
Black
got
Ops
that for
4.
free with my PS4, and to be fair, I liked it a lot
Can you
more
let the
than I
man?
expected.
This is where the respect comes in. Let the man finish.
I haven't played Black Ops 4 yet. I've heard some very good things about it. I know Fallout 76 is coming out,
Mixed reviews,
yeah,
in my opinion.
I've heard mixed things
and
about that.
Farm Simulator 2018 is coming out.
Dude, that's your everyday life, so you can't even.
You know what I want to come out? Mountain Blade.
You want to come out? No comment.
No.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
So anyway, I'd really recommend Red Dead 2.
Yeah.
It's a good game. It's
so
the story's well done.
Okay.
There are past appearances from I guess because it's technically a prequel to Red Dead
interesting.
Redemption, not Red Dead Revolver. If you give me a second to make a gap in this filming, I will upload the worst mechanic in the game,
Okay.
and that's riding horses.
Yes.
Horses lead to a lot of comedy in this game.
That's not great for a game that's like, I would imagine 50%.
Well,
Horses.
as you'll see in the clips, it's just some dumb stuff like once in a while you can't make your horse turn and you run into a tree and you fly 20 feet.
But that makes sense because you can't really control a horse. They're animals. They're
There's a
unpredictable.
video, yeah. There's a video we're gonna put up where somebody runs through a signpost and just gets completely knocked off their horse.
So-
and if I can get this one, this is the funniest one. You come up on this one guy who's like looking at his horse like it threw a shoe or something.
have.
And the guy just goes, "Oh lordy!" And then boom, horse hoof right to the head. Dad sitting there, and give us a few seconds.
Yeah.
And those clips are very funny if we can get them uploaded. Otherwise, it's just going
Was
to be
that a pause for the
For
Yeah.
the clips.
Oh.
So I do want to ask this because we're on the thing of Red Dead. That with how many subscribers we do have, give me two or three positives, negatives, and a 10 out of 10, that kind of stuff.
That's a great closing because we are going to move on to our rugged reviewer.
Oh, is our rugged reviewer? Yeah, that guy. Is that guy really going to tell us about the 10 out of 10?
10 out of 10.
Yeah, on
tell us
the
about
Red Dead.
boots.
Oh, about boots.
Yeah.
Oh, we're done with the Red.
Apparently,
Okay.
yeah.
We're done.
I'm
with-
new to this.
We're
so.
done with Red Dead. We're our rugged reviewer is going to tell us about some boots that he bought a couple months ago, and then we'll be back for our closing.
All right, we're back for another segment of Rugged Review. It's been a little while, and I have our Rugged Reviewer here talking about a new pair of boots. Right, you got these a few months ago, and that's usually enough time to break in a good pair of boots. So why don't you tell me a little bit about them?
They aren't broke.
No, but the chair might be. Are they comfortable?
Pretty comfortable.
How long did it take you to break them in? 3. 3 days, 3 months, 3 hours, 3 years. Just 3. Alright. I don't really know what else to ask about boots. You wear them. Oh, look at that. How's the, Are you're trying to tell me something. Let me take a little feel here. Oh, they've got a steel toe in them. That's nice. Do you use that a lot? Good for kicking things. All right. Honestly, I don't know how far we're going to be getting with a review about boots with someone who can't really talk. I'm not sure what to say. They're good boots. If you want them, you can buy them in a store. And that was our rugged review with our rugged reviewer.
Let me get a little twirl action. Give it a little twirl action for the camera.
I'm gonna.
Oh, look at that!
I am putting this in front of all of you, though.
Yeah, it's fine. We know it's unloaded.
It's fine.
This is the first firearm I've ever had unloaded on this show.
It is.
Well, you shouldn't tell that to people.
Why?
Because the community's gonna be like, oh, that guy has a load of firearms.
I don't want people rolling up and harassing or videotaping. I want to show them some 10 millimeter if they're gonna be harassing us.
Ah, so it's only 10 millimeters.
Uh,
He set himself up for that one.
well, and this is why I need a third host because Alfred doesn't pick up on little jokes like that too easily.
Oh, it's funny
I don't
because you
think
just
that's
referenced
true.
your 10 millimeter again.
Anyway,
I just don't want to hurt your feelings too much, Forrest.
oh come
I
on,
know you're sensitive.
this is a man's show.
Yeah. Speaking, I hate going sidetracked, but
The sidetracks are always more interesting than
Yeah,
what we're talking about. To
So, Steve Carell, that was on the
Is he still
Office.
alive?
He is still alive. He looks manlier than ever. If you want
does.
to put a
Good
stock
beard, doesn't
picture
he?
of him, he looks very manly. But he said that the Office would have never survived this
Yeah.
pussified climate.
Well, I don't think he called it
Well,
pussified.
And I
Just
was
Sensitive climate.
sensitive.
Let's
Well,
be.
like-
They did. If you remember the
There's
Oscar
some-
coming out
yeah.
as gay, that was a bad episode.
well, there's some
don't- I mean,
really
it was fun.
crazy
Don't you
stuff.
remember I think we're all getting a little too sensitive around here. Works with the cowboy hat too. Kurt Russell. You probably didn't watch that, but we were talking about Kurt Russell a while back, and
In what film?
No, he said this in an interview. He was like, "Oh, we're getting too sensitive." He was. What was he asked about?
Wait, is Kurt Russell an actor?
what? Yeah.
Or am I thinking Burt Reynolds?
You're thinking Burt Reynolds.
I'm thinking
But
Burt
they're
Reynolds.
both
Russell
actors.
is, yeah.
Okay.
The
He is a
Burt Reynolds is dead.
He is
Yeah, he died
is!
recently.
Yeah.
Holy
Apparently,
cow!
last year, or within 6, 7
No,
months.
within the past 4 months.
Yeah, now I remember that.
It was over the summer then, wasn't it?
But weren't we talking earlier about somebody that passed away?
Yes.
We were talking about Robin Williams.
Yeah, Robin
Yeah,
Williams.
yeah.
We've lost a lot of celebrity greats in the past few years.
We have.
Princess Leia.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
We've lost quite a few. And then there's quite a few who I wish would kick the bucket and they just are
Well,
sticking
that's
around.
just not nice.
Well,
The only one I can accept is Amy Schumer because her jokes are just terrible.
you know what? This guy, actually, Steven Crowder, used to work with Amy Schumer, and he actually talks about her once in a while. Because there's past Amy Schumer and there's modern Amy Schumer.
That is true.
When Amy Schumer was actually watching her weight at that point in time, she was apparently really funny, really bright, really energetic, and now it's just
Well, that's what stardom
now
does to
there's
you.
literally a meme about how much she jokes about her vagina.
Yeah, she has run out of material, I think. But, it's her shtick. Honestly, I think she's in that category with, like, Larry the Cable Guy. She's not bringing anything new to
still
the
alive?
table. I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think he's...
We're like him and Jeff Foxworthy, whatever his name is.
Yeah, well, they kind of faded into darkness like a lot of comedians do.
Yeah, I think they get stale.
They got stale. They
after a while.
faded.
But you have Bill Burr. Bill Burr's a fantastic comedian. He has some great skits.
Yeah.
But then speaking of comedians, especially in like the Steve Carell saying that jokes can't stand, you have people like John Cleese who won't go to college campuses anymore. John Cleese, probably the oldest funny guy alive. I was watching Monty Python sketches and realizing how much we have to start gearing this show because they just roll joke to joke to
Yeah.
joke, and he's a Democrat, I believe, or at least left.
Does that matter though?
That matters because they're typically left-leaning people are more open to political or more. Oh, we have to be sensitive.
Yeah, I was about to say
politically
more
correct.
sensitive and not more.
But he won't go to college campuses anymore. So
it's a sad state of affairs.
I think, but see, no, that's an interesting point. I think your politics aside, comedy's comedy, and like, I agree, you shouldn't, there are jokes maybe that are in poor taste, but then a lot of that
like
is...
blackface. Blackface is 100% in
Yeah,
poor taste.
I
in
think
comedy.
we can all agree with that, but there's, I think most things, frankly, are fair game when they're done. You know what, maybe that's what it is. Anything can be in poor taste if you do it wrong, but anything can be a good joke if you handle it correctly.
Right.
Maybe that's
But we're in a society right now where if you make fat jokes, you're the bad person.
But I think you can make fat jokes.
100%. You can
also
knock on
make
me
it-
right now.
Yeah,
and I'll be like, haha, that's funny.
But you're not indicative of the larger culture. We have the body positive movement, which isn't body positive like, oh, this person's 40 pounds overweight. Well, we'll take them as it is. Because you know what? As a dude, 40 pounds overweight, not really much of a problem. But when you start pushing body positive, like where you weren't here, but Carlos and I were talking about, they did an article on everything we know about people being fat is wrong. And their examples were these 300-pound women, these 400-pound dudes, and why can't they, at least the dudes there admitted, yeah, I know the health risks, but you can't make fun of fat people because this body positive movement comes after you.
Well, not only that, but it's such a large segment of the world. Like, doesn't America have like 40% or more obesity rate?
Yeah, but
Isn't it like 80?
Well, what they consider that gets
Yeah.
See, that's another part of the problem. I think it gets
That gets
you know, how
into
do
the-
you define
that
like,
gets
who's
into
actually
the-
overweight and not, and like
but that gets into the 40 pounds overweight versus 300 pounds
Well-
versus 400 pounds. Because let's be honest.
Are we talking about like a chart, like by the
Well,
FDA
let's
or
be
whatever?
honest.
yeah,
or-
we're talking about charts.
Let's
Charts
be
are not
honest.
good.
If you're not Andre the Giant and you're 300 pounds, you're fat.
But not necessarily, because that's the
or-
thing.
so
like-
for
Or you're a
instance-
super bodybuilder.
But for instance, right now, by that chart, all of us are overweight. Even though there's probably 2/3 of us that are healthy.
I could stand. See, when you make fun of yourself,
Well, no, but
I'm the
I
only
know
sick
I have
one
to
here,
do something
so-
about it.
I could stand.
That is true.
I could stand to lose 20 pounds.
I've lost 20
Could
pounds
you
actually.
lose 20 pounds? You've lost 20 pounds. That's great. Keep going.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not like I'm saying, oh, 20 pounds is just great, like I'm just going to start eating again. Like I'm trying to work my way down, but it starts with the diet and then you got to do the weightlifting. But that's a whole different story.
Part of it is people are too sensitive, and there's always going to be people who are going to be upset about it. And then again, I do think there's a funny way to do jokes, and then there's like a mean-spirited way. Like, I agree, if you're mean-spirited, like if you walk up to somebody on the street, start pointing and laughing, go, ha ha ha, fatty, like that's not funny, that's not like comedy.
No, that's just
But then,
Exactly.
but then on the same note, if you're a 400-pound woman and you go out on the street expecting to be fat shamed, and people,
We already talked about this. That was an example of someone being
but she's
way
making,
out
but
of-
she's setting up for jokes to be made about her. So if you set yourself up for jokes, you really have to take it.
Exactly. That's
And
what I
not,
do.
and not like, oh, they're gonna get some 10 millimeter, because I didn't know you were coming out with that. I didn't walk right into that. I'm not stripping to my bikini in the middle of Times Square. Like, there's a time and a place for everything.
I agree.
And you know what? If that woman wanted to be at a pool or the beach, I probably wouldn't say that much about it. But she's in the middle of Times Square, and
Well, she also didn't get fat shamed, per se. She was
yeah,
hit on by a bunch of creepy dudes, which,
but
what do you expect? It's New York City.
but
It boosts your confidence.
I guess so.
Anthony is down to his knob. I'm getting close. Alfred's
I'm
sick, so,
enjoying my cigar.
so he's been smoking that
Do
slowly.
you have any roach clips? I like smoking that.
I have another
So going
cigar
back
if you want.
No, we're done.
no.
We're closing
No,
the
no,
show.
no, no.
It's
Just
over.
one more thing,
No,
just one
no,
more
it's
thing.
over.
All I want to say is my personal opinion about the cigar. The very end is the best part.
Jesus.
Sometimes.
Do
Yeah,
you
it depends
smoke
on
the
the cigar.
filters too?
It
No, I do
depends on the
not.
cigar.
I switched to a vape.
Good evening, y'all.
And get with the biz.